Welcome to our last week of our Free People series. In case you've forgotten, here's the last 3 weeks summed up in 60 seconds-ish. In week 1, we learned that we have so many rules that we gotta follow, and they're not all fun. But we learned about when God's rule of love is applied correctly, the right rules set you free. In week 2, I told you about a time that I had to learn the hard way that rules keep us safe. Free people don't dance with danger or get stuck in an underwater cave. Last week we looked at zombies, but more interestingly, we saw that a world without rules can be way more dangerous than a world full of zombies. Free people make decisions that benefit others. And that leads us to right now, our final week, where I want to talk to you about this guy. If you love the MCU as much as I do, then you know all about this guy and his plot to kill half of all living things across the universe. And he almost did it, too.
You should have gone for the head.
The Avengers had some pretty serious conflict with Grimace. But I understand it's probably justified, you know, all things considered.
I don't feel so good.
But what about you? Have you ever had conflict with someone before? Maybe there was a time where you didn't want to follow authority. Maybe you and a friend had a hard falling out. Maybe you're in conflict with someone right now, in which case you're gonna want to pay attention to the next few minutes. Okay, let's talk about freedom for a second. Because you may not realize it, but you are completely free to do whatever you want. Do you want to be selfish? Go for it. You want to speak badly about people? Yeah. You want to be bitter, cruel, arrogant, resentful, impatient, unkind, rude? Nothing is stopping you. But freedom to do whatever you want is not freedom from consequences. That's something else entirely. If you lived your life just for yourself, do you really think that you'd be happy? Do you really think you'd be fulfilled? Do you really think that you would have a single meaningful relationship with another person? I don't. So what's the alternative to me-centered thinking? How can we avoid unnecessary conflict with others? How do we resolve conflicts when they happen? And how do we do all of that according to Jesus' law of love? Maybe the best thing we can do is look at the one who gave us the law of love in the first place. Because it's not just Jesus' words that teach us how to love, it's his actions as well. I'm going to read you 2 passages. The first passage is going to show you Jesus' words. The second passage is going to show you Jesus' actions. John 15:12-13 says, "My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." John 3:16 says this, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." Jesus is God, which means he really does have the freedom to do whatever he wants. The whole universe is his, along with everything and everyone in it. He has the power to do anything he wants at any time. But what did he do? He gave up his life. Jesus chose to give up his freedom in 2 ways. Although he was God, he chose to humble himself by inhabiting a human body right here on earth. He chose to give up his life, submitting to torture and death. And why? Because he loves you. Because he wants you to be free. Through his life, death, and resurrection, Jesus gave us freedom that we could never have found on our own. Freedom from sin and condemnation forever. Freedom to live an abundant life right now. Jesus freely gave up his freedom in order to love you and me, and then he told us to do the same thing for each other. And that's the ironic thing about freedom, because free people give up their freedoms for others, not because they have to, but because they choose to. So let's talk about you for a minute. Chances are you've been in conflict with someone before. Chances are you're in conflict with someone right now. So how do we apply this to our life right now? How can we give up our freedoms for others right now? Well, start with this. Remember that list of terrible things that I told you about earlier that you're actually free to do? Start by doing none of them. Give up your freedom to be cruel. Have you ever stopped talking to a friend after an argument? Give up your freedom to hold a grudge. Make the first move. Repair that friendship. Giving up your freedoms for others doesn't just mean dying on a cross. We can show love for others and God by doing little things, giving up little freedoms every day, right now.